Hey, good evening, everybody. It is February 9th, 2021, and it is our first episode in the month of love. It's all about love. And I'm here with the magnificently wonderful and all the wonderful adjectives that go with it, Catherine Porth Cahill. And we're going to talk to you tonight about rededicating your life to wonder and awe. I can't imagine a better way to end this evening than speaking of wonder and awe, because it's the magical part of life that gets you going. This is Manifesting with Meg in 2021 now, Conversations with Extraordinary People. Welcome, everybody. This is, like I said, the month of love. It's a show about life transformation, living your dream, spiritual inspiration, finding true happiness, and my favorite, discovering bliss. Time to manifest the life of your dreams. Good evening, Catherine. How are you?
I'm good.
The show is based upon my book, The Magical Guide to Bliss, and I sent you out a copy. It is a 366 insights of the day, getting you to unlock keys that help you unlock your dream, spirit, and inner bliss. And as we do that, I ask you to get intentional with your thoughts tonight as the show starts. I always say my intention is always to have a really good time, and I always end up having a really good time. So I can thank you in advance for that. But also I ask you to set your intentions for what you want to receive and give to those who are watching now or later on YouTube and also with my podcast. I want to thank you all, my audience out there, for supporting the show after 56 episodes. This is super exciting. It's been 4 years. We begin this 4th year, and I can't tell you how much fun I've had. I really enjoyed interviewing these extraordinary people and introducing them all to you. And that goes to say that Catherine is definitely one of those extraordinary people. We are talking tonight to the founder of Let Her Speak. She's also a consultant in growth strategy and insights and an advocate for marginalized women leaders. And one of my favorite things that she says is that she wears many hats in her day-to-day life. As most of us women know, that is the only thing that we do well, is to wear those many hats. And that's a lot that we do well. So I just want to reiterate how awesome and amazing you all are. She is driven by one purpose, that's to improve and grow opportunities for marginalized groups of women, one aspiring leader at a time. And I think there's nothing better in this world than people who are here to serve other people from a place of strength, to grab them and drag them all along with you. She, like I said, is the founder of Let Her Speak, where she curates women-empowered events. And I have had the distinct honor of participating in her event this last year, and it was amazing. So many incredible speakers, such great breakouts, and this was in a virtual setting. So I was shocked because I had no idea what to expect in the Zoom world. And it was really something that knocked my socks off. It was cutting edge, I have to say. And yes, Catherine is on the cutting edge in most of the things that she does. She is always focused on female-focused research, developing communication-centric education. And like I said, her mission as a whole is to bring more visibility to women in business. So she believes that through community research and education, more women will rise to leadership positions. And that's an amazing sentiment, because the more of us women out in the world rising to a leadership place, taking our seat at the table. It was funny, I had spoken to my author group, and I said, instead of joining the conversation, we can become the conversation, which is so exciting, such a different energy. And that is you. You have enabled women to become the conversation. You have over 10 years of experience in service, business development, training, and research, and you've worked in a broad range of industries, including financial services, workplace design, and technology startups. She now uses that experience to mentor and consult business owners and corporate teams. I can't wait. She is saying that she loves to hear the story. She starts with her first question: what is the legacy you want to leave? I want you all to contact her after this episode tonight, because I think to start that kind of conversation in anyone's life is a game changer. And I get to introduce you to this extraordinary woman. Thank you, Berta Medina, once again for the connection. Get empowered to make the changes that we all need to manifest the most amazing life. So I'm going to start tonight with letting you add whatever you want to add, but I want to know, what is the legacy that you want to leave, Catherine?
So the thing with that question is that I feel like I asked that question because I'm always changing in my mind what kind of legacy I want to be. But I think in the very essence of it, the legacy is that I'm someone who tried as hard as she could to do everything that she could do in the time that she was given.
Wow. That, and when you say everything that you can, everyone has their own distinct imagination. Like literally the things that we can each think up to engage the world is so vast and different. But I think that specifically with regard to you, what does that mean specifically? Because I've seen what you've done. I can only imagine what you have left to actually unfold from the depths of your genius.
Yeah, and I think what I mean by everything that I can is I'm trying to proactively tell myself that I can do a lot more than I think I can do. You know, the imposter syndrome is real no matter where you are at in your life. It creeps in constantly. The people at the highest echelons still have bouts with imposter syndrome. So when I say everything that I can, it's my way of reminding myself that I can do a lot more than I think that I can. I just have to remind myself, and coming from the growth mindset, of course, the abundance mindset, the growth mindset, rather than the limited mindset.
Let me tell you, it's a refreshing breath of fresh air when you're in a group of people with that abundance mindset, because anything is possible versus nothing, right? And when you are entering a room where that conversation is started already with regard to many people with this legacy that they want to leave of, what you're saying, growth potential, and like see what you're out there, then you don't feel depleted. You actually are filled from others' cups as you share from your own. So it's this really incredible karmic give and take. And when we're talking about, the big focus for visionaries are the legacy mentality. It's like, when you have a vision, you're like compelled to really flesh it out and see what has become of that. And I want to speak to your Let Her Speak, what that is all about, because I think your talents really found an incredible home in this idea. And I love that you're, behind you is your Let Her Speak and the silhouette of the beautiful one with the flowers. So tell us all a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, so Let Her Speak really, it wasn't like I woke up one day and I was like, I'm going to start an organization and it's going to be called Let Her Speak and this is what it's going to be. It was really a combination of looking back, I can understand all the threads that were weaved together to create my idea of what this needed to be, of my experiences with bullying as a young girl and growing up not really trusting to have a lot of girlfriends, to having issues in corporate America where I felt like I just didn't have a voice, I didn't fit in. My personality is really one that I need to do my own thing. I need to forge my own
Yeah.
path. I can't, I don't fall in line very well. Not to say that it's a bad thing if corporate America is the right fit for you. It just wasn't a right fit for me. So when I moved and I made this big life decision after dating my now husband at the time to move almost 1,000 miles from where I was living down to Tennessee, I kind of saw it as a chance for me to revive and get back on track of where I thought my life should be going, versus where it had been going. And so I had this idea for an event because I was personally frustrated that I felt like most events, you never really got to know the person sitting next to you. It was always very, what's your business card? What do you do? What kind of services do you offer? And coming from being in corporate sales, I knew that in the sales world, the reason I was good at sales was because I was really good at getting to know people beyond, what I was doing for work. I got to know about their families and I got to know about their history and I got to know about their how they see the world, and the issues that they've been able to overcome in their lives. And it was because of that I was good at connecting with people, and I was good at my job. And I felt like that's missing, that piece of vulnerability and connection and relationship development. And a lot of times that can also be an issue when you run into like bullying in the workplace and cattiness, and groups of women judging others because they just look and act and have different feelings and perspectives of the world. So I wanted to create an environment where we took all of that away, and it was an opportunity for us to see each other for our stories and for who we are and for our backgrounds, and our vulnerable place, rather than, this is what I do for a living, and that's it. But it turned out to be something bigger than I thought, and I just kept going with it. And I started doing the research and digging into what were women needing, and what was missing out there, and what were the gaps in their journeys that I can maybe fill with programs and events and other resources to help get their stories out there. Because really what I found was, no matter who you are, where you come from, everybody just has three things that they really, really desire the most. And it's to be seen, to be heard, and to be valued by others. And one of the greatest ways you can do that is to sit and listen to someone's story, and fully take it in, and tell them, like, I hear you, I see you, I understand you. Even if I don't have the same path that I've gone down. And from that, I've just continued to go. I pull in because I have a background in sales, I understand communication skills. So I'm starting to pull that in. Because I have my MBA and a business degree, I understand financial literacy and the importance that finances have, and the limitations that are put upon women, because a lot of us don't fully understand finances, and how to build our own personal wealth, and how to fund a business. And then I also started to dig more into research, and started doing a lot more research with one of my corporate jobs that I had. So I just pulled in these strengths that I didn't realize were actually all interconnected, to create something that I felt like was missing, and that could be valuable to help women get that bedrock, that strong foundation that they needed to feel like they could get into those leader positions, however they define what a leader is.
I want to interject and say the coolest thing in life, I think, is that over here we're doing something, and over here we're doing something else, and another thing over there. And then finally, when everything just kind of synchronistically comes together, and all of our strengths just unfold into this great theatrical production, because that is literally what you do with regard to your events, period. I mean, it's this unfolding of this incredible vision that you have, that, with all your strengths, you say sales, you said like 5 times helping women tell their stories. I mean, that's incredibly empowering. And to give them that sacred space to step up and share from a place of vulnerability, because you also have had the experience of being bullied in the past, so that the import of that. So then you turn that around, and it's a whole forum of all these empowering processes to empower women, especially, you said that you work with marginalized communities. So one of the things that I wanted to reiterate, because tonight is rededicating yourself to a sense of wonder and awe. And I think this is perfect, because I think it's really a sense of wonder and awe when you see something unfold that started off as just a mere idea or thought. And one of the cool things about this particular quote is Marcus Aurelius, total visionary, total, I'm not supposed to say bad words, but, really bad, Anyway, dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars, and see yourself running with them. And the coolest thing about that is that is free for everyone to go out there, lay in the grass, maybe not in Miami or maybe downtown Knoxville, but stand outside in awe, looking up at the stars and imagining your life unfolding as you run with them. So, that's the being a part of the fabric of this world, this life. So back to you and your story, which is, I think, even better, because being at your conferences, you have tons of people that are just really engaging from so many different areas. You have artists, you have writers, you have monster creators. Like, I just think it's this like, explosion of creative possibility. And businesswomen, you have everything. And like, how much do you feel? I keep thinking, how much do you feel being the creator of something like that? That you can step back and say, wow, look what I did. Look what I did. And actually, do you do that? Do you sit back and appreciate what you've created for others to share this amazing creativeness?
Honestly, not as much as I probably should.
Never shame yourself. Never shame
um,
yourself. Next
because
time.
I'm yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really, I'm always trying to figure out like what can I do better? How can I make this even better than what it is right now? So I'm usually sitting there, the fly on the wall, looking at, what are people enjoying, but what are the gaps that I see that, oh, I could do that better next time. That's just my instinct, is always to figure out what can I always be doing better. And I know that being present and in the moment and just enjoying the energy that's going around is something I need to work on. So at least I'm aware of it,
Yeah.
but it's something I need to work on.
Well, it's like a grand storyteller. You're like the grand storyteller, right? And like when you have an audience and you're speaking to them, and I mean, imagine, we get to receive what you offer, and this offering is a beautiful place where your intentions are super charged and super high. And I know you're channeling, like, this year, this myself, the know your worth component, right? I would love to know how Let Her Speak can also help other people value themselves. Like, I'm trying to, I really want you to value yourself, because during the pandemic, this event happened, and it was really kind of an oasis away from any of the fear factors, into still people are finding ways. And it was so incredibly creative.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I guess so. The question is
The
more
question
about
is, how do
for.
you incorporate a whole, value, worth, like you said, the three things that you mentioned tonight: be seen, be heard, be valued. How is it that you take that notion of value and deliver that to your audiences?
I think it starts with the fact that I am, most definitely an empath, and I'm also more so an introvert than an extrovert. I can certainly be an extrovert. I was in sales, so you have to
Yeah.
be a little bit. But I enjoy not being at the center of things. I actually prefer to be the one that pushes other people into the spotlight.
Oh,
Um, and encourages them to know that they are worthy of sharing their story. And I think that's something that I didn't realize was so prevalent until I started down this path of, I'll tell any woman that I meet that you have a story that you should really share. And a lot of times I hear the response back, oh, I don't know if it's the right time. I'm not to where I think I want to be yet.
mm,
And I think a lot of times, that's something that's ingrained in us from a pretty young age,
I
of we have this idea of where we need to be before we feel like we're valuable enough to share what our story has been so far.
yeah.
And really, the story is the journey that you're on. It's not the destination that you're looking towards. And so and because I'm, someone that I really don't need to be the one that's speaking all the time at these events. Actually, I've never actually fully spoken. I've never actually told my own story at my own event,
Uh,
because I want this to be a place for all the other women. This isn't the Catherine show. This is every woman who feels like nobody ever listens to them.
yeah.
And they have a lot to say, a place for them to come to. And so that's kind of the dream, is that Let Her Speak is one of those places that you can start. You don't have to be at a certain, valuation of your company. You don't have to be a certain revenue. You don't have to have a certain amount of years of experience. You could, be starting over yet again. You could be just getting started in your early 20s. It doesn't matter. There's a story that is going to connect with somebody out there, and you need to, see in yourself that there's a value to you no matter where you are.
I love that. You know, one of the things I asked you to do, and I love this part of my show because one of the most important things for me are those that inspire the change makers, the game changers, anything you want to call that. You know, and you sent me this beautiful quote by Brene Brown. There is no greater threat to the critics, cynics, and fearmongers than a person who is willing to fall because she's learned how to rise. What is that? How does that speak to you? I love the fact that you picked it. I think it's wonderful for this point in the conversation. So what does that say to you?
So that's it's actually a very personal quote. So throughout most of my 20s, I was actually in a pretty bad toxic relationship.
Oh,
And it was a driving factor for most of the things that I was going through at that time. I mean, I had bouts of I didn't realize at the time, but I had bouts of depression at that time. I was never happy. I always felt like the next job I would be happier. You know, if this one thing changes, I'll be happier. And it was so toxic that my own internal confidence was being just chipped away little by little. And after I finally got out of that situation, I felt so ashamed of what I
mhm.
allowed to happen to me, because I always was, the woman that was like, yes, I'm a strong, powerful woman and I am independent and I can do everything on my own. I can do it all. I don't need to have somebody else to support me. And at that point I was like, I can't believe I allowed that to happen, and I brought that into my life and I didn't realize it until 6 years later, the toxicity and the impact that it made. And I felt like I was so far behind from where I thought I should be. And then I realized that, and I think this is kind of where the beginnings of this idea of Let Her Speak came from, that I started looking at it as, this is a part of my story that maybe it was something that I needed to go through in order to get to where I am now.
Mhm.
As horrible as it was, and as much as I wish I didn't have to go through it, I knew that if I could pull myself up out of this, and have my friends and my foundation of support with me, then I can get through this, and I can do exactly what I thought. I shouldn't be down on myself that my 20s I didn't achieve everything that I wanted to achieve, because it's not like it's over. It's my
You know,
20s.
I laugh because, you know, it's funny because we have these internal timetables, right? By my 20s, I'm going to have all these boxes checked off. In my 30s, I'm going to really have a grasp on everything. And then my 40s, oh my God, you know, and then 50s, it's going to be like they always say, when you turn 50, it's like you just don't care what anybody says anymore. You know, you just do your thing, you show up. And when it comes down to it, you're kind of judging yourself against these norms that really don't exist because there is no template that matches everyone. And I think, you know, the coolest part about having these kind of conversations is that, you know, I get to learn from you. And you also sent me for there's always light if we're only brave enough to see it, if we're only brave enough to be it. And that was from the inauguration, right? So when we're listening to that, and what you're thinking, like, you know, even coming from your story where you felt like 6 years later, you know, you didn't do enough, but you realize that that was toxic. So your awareness peaks and that light in your life shows up. I don't know how. I'd love to know what was your shift at that point. Like, what had you come alive to the fact that that's not what you wanted anymore?
Honestly, it was so I had started a new job yet again. So I was in this habit of every 2 years I would change jobs because I thought that was the problem. I just wasn't happy. And in this new job, I started opening up more to some of the women that I worked with. Before I really just I found it really difficult to open up to people, and I didn't really make a lot of friends at work. to my detriment. And these women basically kind of say like, no, you're going to be my friend and we're going to get along and we're going to have lunches and we're going to go on walks every day and we're going to talk through things. And it was after talking out loud with them of once said it out loud, I realized what the problem was, because I was actually happy at work and I was happy with what I was doing. And I didn't feel like I was completely alone anymore, where, you know, if I would pull myself out of that relationship, I would have nobody. I had people. And I realized the power and the importance for a woman to have her inner circle of other women.
Yeah.
That's one of the absolute most important things. And I didn't value that until that moment.
That's awesome. I love that you pointed out it's important for women to have their inner circle. And it's really an inner circle of strength where you can trust another person to hold you when you need to be held and supported when you need to be supported. And it comes back to you in kind when you need it too. And it's interesting, the standards of excellence that we have for ourselves. Sometimes, like when you were saying before, you know, sometimes when you feel you're not meeting that, to come back to a circle who will like look you in the face and say, are you kidding me? You know, like not only are you surpassing what other people do on, you know, an occasional 4-year like shocker, but on a daily basis. But the fact is that you're supported in a way. And I love that that was something that you came to, because realizing that you're not alone in the world is such an important thing. And I think, you know, I think as we start the month of love, because this is all about love in my book, of my little book of bliss. You know, I think self-love also is to allow yourself those circles of friendships. And it doesn't have to be just one. You can have many where you can branch out and you can see how other people match up certain interests and things like that. But I think that, you know, it's a way for you to keep the magic alive during any kind of challenge that you might have. And I would love to know how you keep the magic alive during your challenges as well. Certainly, in this experience that you shared with us, you know, in a very dark time that you had, and only with the awareness you found the friendships that could carry you. But also, you know, I'm curious as to like, what are the tools you use now, having that awareness, going through dark times?
I sometimes it's just the smallest things. So I one thing, so I'm an avid tea drinker. I don't really drink coffee. It actually just doesn't sit well with me anymore. I think that kind of started after I turned 30, but
Yeah.
I drink tea all the time. And one of my really good friends, Booth, who also comes to, she's talked at 2 Let Her Speak events. She's usually at every single one. She and I take time to have tea every Friday, and we call it Tea and Sympathy. And it's kind of this like touchstone thing that is consistent every Friday morning. I know I will have tea with one of my closest friends. And we just talk about what our week was like, what happened, what's going on, what are we doing for the weekend. And she always makes sure to ask me, what am I doing to take care of myself? What am I doing to have fun so that I'm not working constantly?
Aww.
And I think that's been one of the most helpful things. Especially, we started it mainly when the pandemic started. You know, we started trying to do touchstones remotely, and now we do like socially safely distance meetups.
Yeah.
And then the other one that's just really silly, but my best friend from, you know, the time I was 3 years old, this woman has been my absolute best friend. So she's been kind of my touchstone throughout my entire life. And she and I, like, our love language is sending TikToks to each other. So you know, we send TikToks and we make little notes, and then when one of us, you know, catch up with them, then well, that's just kind of our daily laugh to each other of, you know, either like, oh, remember when we were 14 and we would be like this, or
That's awesome.
you know, joking about our husbands or something. But it's kind of those little laughs, those little things that add up, that are done consistently, that really help.
So the tea and the TikToks. I think tea and TikToks are like the highlight for sure. And right now we have Suzanne Simonetti on, and she's saying these conversations are so important and relevant. We have Berta Medina on tonight. Que bella, que bella, que bella. So I just want to thank you all for joining the conversation. You know, literally, we invite everyone to join these conversations because, right, the more people who have these conversations and put it out there, the more freedom that we can get in a peaceful way to bear our souls literally into the world. So I love this one. This is remember this in the darkest moments when the work doesn't seem worth it and the change seems just out of reach. Out of our willingness to push through comes a tremendous power. Use it. Bam! I'm telling you, if you ever, TikToks and this, right? Out of our willingness to push through comes a tremendous power. Use it. And I'm a huge advocate of don't you dare give up. Don't you dare give up because you might just be right before the breakthrough comes. You know, so you never know. And right now, Berta's saying Chloe's listening and says she loves that you're sending TikToks, by the way. So send your TikToks of empowerment, right? Send them out because when you're engaging from an extraordinary place, literally all these people who are embracing a spirit of what does this mean to you? This is great. This is great stuff.
Oh, well, for one thing, Stacey Abrams is just a powerhouse woman, regardless of your political standing. I mean, this woman has fought for what she's achieved. And so I think, you know, if whatever it is that whatever the darkness is that you're fighting against right now, and it's taken time for me to realize this too, that it truly was because of the darkest parts of part of my past that I've actually been able to achieve what I've achieved. In my own hero's journey, I had to go through that dark period in my own hero's journey to end up on the other side. And I feel like all of us, you know, I always try to look at everybody's story actually kind of like our own individual hero's journeys. We're all heroes in some way.
Okay, so I love that you're using hero's journey. You speak my language, Catherine. I knew you did, but now that you use that, I know it's like you know the heroes out there, and it's all the ones who are on that mythical journey. Like you said, it's the journey, not the destination, of all of us just coming to know ourselves even better, becoming the people that we were always meant to be. I love that you're saying this. I do want to know on your hero's journey, what is another gift you can give us that would help us all, you know, something to help us all keep moving forward, even in those darkest moments when it doesn't feel like it's worth it anymore and like you don't value, you don't matter, you don't. And what do you do and say to yourself to, besides the TikTok? So we're going to be looking out for them. I think you only send it to your friends, but I would love to see you share it on a Let Me Speak post.
If you want, I will send TikToks to whoever wants to have it.
Bring on the TikToks, baby.
Yeah, I love curating TikToks to make people laugh or smile for the day.
So what moves you forward? You know, what are those shifts that you grab onto?
I think one of the things that I didn't realize until people started putting words around it. I didn't realize this is what I was doing, but I maintain a always of curiosity, no matter what I'm going through. If I can remain curious, so instead of saying, why is this happening to me? And you know, this isn't right. Nobody's listening to me. Nobody cares what I'm doing. You know, I feel worthless. I feel like nobody knows or sees me. I try to instead put in an air of curiosity to that of, you know, I wonder instead if I looked at it this way, would that change, you know, would that change how people reacted? You know, I wonder if I reach out and I wonder what these people are doing. How are they doing it differently? And what are some pieces that I can maybe take from them that's inspiration for me? Or, you know, I wonder if this woman would have a meeting with me. I really appreciate what she's doing, and I just want her to know that. So I wonder if she would respond to, a virtual coffee, and that's helped me quite a bit of just always being curious instead of assuming that what I think is happening is in fact what's happening, instead being curious about trying to figure out what's really going on. Because a lot of times, what I found is we're all really, really busy, and we all have a lot of things going on. And sometimes it's a one-on-one conversation with someone to completely turn around what you're going through, because I've certainly gone through bouts with let her speak, where I'm kind of in this gap of working on one thing that's not ready, and so I'm staying kind of quiet, and then I start doubting myself of, I don't know if this is going to work, and then I start saying, well, I wonder, who could I talk to, and talk through this with somebody, and see what their perspective is, and instead of telling myself that this is in fact what the fact is, when really that's probably not the fact.
So I love that you say open and curious. Like, I know this curiosity didn't just kill the cat. Curiosity really does allow you the freedom to understand differently. And I love that you're saying that, because our perspective might say one thing because of our pattern and practices and what we've experienced, but it's so interesting because our judgments may not even be the first thing that the other person is thinking at all. It could be totally in another lane. You're in another lane. And I laugh because my husband's been watching Ted Lasso, and it says, don't be judgmental, be curious. So I'm like thinking, that's a great starting point for sure. And it literally will free you from getting stuck in the drama that you might be just creating for yourself. So I absolutely love you saying that. And one of the things that we as women like try to, and I do think this might solely be women, is that we go negative quick. It's like, oh my God, he didn't notice me. Like, kind of when you were growing up, where you want like a boy, oh my God, he didn't notice me. Meanwhile, he's maybe clueless anyway, he's like in his own world. But I'm just saying, instead of going negative as the pattern, go curious, because that's a great point. I love it. I'm telling you, these kind of conversations, really bring out a lot of, ideas that are extraordinary, because they come from people like you who've had those experiences. And whatever you're saying, I always say, I'm a big, advocate of, okay, whoever's supposed to be there is supposed to be there. So I keep my expectations low sometimes, and my acceptance high sometimes, and I laugh because, after the fact is over, like, people will like contact me, and I'm sure the same thing for you with Let Her Speak, and it was mind blowing. You're just like, I felt depleted and I wanted to cry in the corner after I was done. And I know when I do events, that's all I want to do is cry in the corner. And it's so funny because even like, we have Berta here, and I think she used the quote Desmond Tutu, as we were saying before, is hope is finding the light in all darkness, right? So even then, even our little corner crying our eyes out because we think that we've been a failure, when everyone is actually giddy and having the best time ever, it's that curiosity. So I'm going to take you back to this really wonderful post you sent to me. Her name is Sarah Winamaka. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
If you make fun of bad persons, you make yourself beneath them. Be kind to bad and good, for you don't know your own heart. I had to ask you, hey, first of all, this is a beautiful picture, and I know that you're honoring a lot of women on her podcast and on her YouTube page on Let Her Speak. What she does is she broadcasts and highlights, and I think this month it's all about the Black History Month, correct?
Yeah.
So you've been honoring a lot of women who align with that, but you also point out people I've never heard of her before. So what makes her special to you?
I think I pick out women who, I call it the unsung heroes. And usually on Mondays, I've done research like the week before, and I do a little bit of a write up about a woman's story. And really it is about the story of each woman. So, she was a Native American woman who was one of the few that actually was very outspoken and vocal about the rights to the land and to the heritage of her people.
Oh, wow.
And this was during a pretty dark period in American history as well, where lands were being taken away from the indigenous people on this continent. And but I love that even though all of these horrible things were happening to her own people, she still spoke of being kind, and to know that making fun of someone who's doing horrible things to you, we
Wow.
don't know what's going on in that
Yeah.
person's life today. We always talk about, don't judge or talk down to somebody for you don't know the battles that they're fighting,
Right.
that you don't know about.
I think that's amazing. And I think it's fascinating also that you look for the unsung heroes of our history, people who would in fact just, fall away in the past, bringing them back to life. Because it's interesting, we all think that we're the first ones going through what we're going through, and this has never happened before, and this, that, and the other. But if you truly study history, we learn from the ghosts of the past, then we can take the examples like this, like, don't judge before you know what someone's walking through. Literally, be curious. I like that point as well. Then it changes the whole conversation into the future. And one of the things I love that you're putting is I'm speaking. I'm speaking. So with this, I love this, by the way, it asserts your right to be at the table and have your point of view and your say. And I'm going to go back to, the manifesting. So you're speaking now, Catherine. You're speaking, and you're going to speak manifesting language with us, because I think a lot of people see your journey and they're amazed, and they might want to be where you are, and they want to get where you are, and they want to bring their dreams along. So manifesting for me clearly gets you intentional and makes you focus on what you want and desire in life. And the first thing is to know what's important to you, to make your priorities heard. So as you're speaking, let's listen. What is important to you now in your life?
I think some of the most important things are obviously my family, my husband, my dog. I include my friends as my
Yeah.
family as well. So that above anything else. One thing I'm trying to prioritize more is my health, both mentally, emotionally, and physically. Making sure that I am putting just as much, if not more, importance on my own my own well-being as I do on other people's well-being.
Yep.
Um, and I think the third thing is I talked about just being better at being present,
Mm.
of enjoying the presence of what's going on right now. I'm always the person looking 15 steps ahead instead of enjoying the moment that I'm in right now. Which fortunately my husband can be good at pulling me out. Like, he got home today and he knew I had been working all day and I didn't sleep very well last night. And so he was like, we're going to go for a walk because
Oh,
it's
that's
nice.
awesome.
So
Awesome.
he kind of pulls me into like, no, we're going to go and enjoy something just for the sake of enjoying it. Not for any other goal but that.
Mind blown, right? There's no goal attached. You just want to enjoy yourself with the person you love, right? And just be present. I love that. That is incredible. So, how do you get into alignment with everything that you say? Focusing on your mental wellness, your physical wellness, your emotional wellness, and like, what is the one thing that you've done differently? I always like figure like learn to simplify is kind of, and then as Berta knows, effortlessness. I go, what can be effortless in my life? Like if I can adopt certain things, then that makes me a much happier person because I don't feel so inundated. But what is it that you do to help you be in alignment with this present idea of presence that you're actually, letting out into the world, because you just did, you brought us all into your presence.
I think one of the things that I've been enforcing a little bit more harshly over time has been, setting boundaries, which is something that a lot of people talk about. Sometimes we don't always talk in specifics though of what are boundaries or what do they look like, and how do you help ensure that people respect those boundaries.
Yeah.
Um, and so I've tried to get a lot more streamlined on, when I'm agreeing to taking meetings, and when I'm actually
Mhm.
off work, I'm off work, and I'm not I keep my cell phone in my office. I don't take it around the house with me. So it's a lot of those types of things too. Of I know when I'm most productive, and so I ensure that when I know that I need to rejuvenate myself during the day, I don't give myself flack for feeling like I should be really being productive right now, and it's like, no, my brain is just not where it is, and I need
Love
to
that.
give myself the permission to be like, to know that I have these boundaries set, because I know I'm going to need to have some of that rejuvenation time during my day. So it's usually it's things like that, and slowly but surely I'm getting a little bit better at it. My I celebrate the little wins. Like, I actually exercised 3 days last week, which is like, oh, an achievement for me, because I a lot of times end up working through my exercise hour and just go straight into dinner, and then chilling out for the rest of the night.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that you say that boundaries. I mean, I think it's interesting because, honoring your own boundaries, like when Kamala Harris said, I'm speaking, she was definitely clearly setting a boundary. You have your turn and I'm having my turn. It's respect. And it's then you turn it around and say, you're respecting yourself. And that's really quite beautiful because you get what you give. And if you're not giving yourself that respect to honor those things that are important to you, then you're not going to get it from others, which is going to make your life not effortless because I know for a fact. And I think that's important. I think, and then going back to the best tools that you use, we have tea and TikToks tonight. We have setting boundaries. We have being present. You're giving us a lot of great stuff. And at the end of the day, what is it that is like this magical tool that you could say that ups your game the most? I mean, for instance, for me, I'm like collaboration, like knowing when to pull in people, like desperately need your help. Thank you. Call me, bing, and call in the favors, knowing that I will fully well bring it back. But for you, I know that being a powerhouse like you are in this world where you're welcoming other women to the table, what are the best practices for you to really truly see the most bang for your buck as far as manifesting is concerned?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, one of the first things that comes to mind is honoring the realisticness of the creative process.
Mm,
Because what I do does require a lot of different aspects of creativity, and it I know that the creative process is not something that you can schedule from between these hours to these hours. I'm going to be creative, and I'm going to figure out exactly how to design and take all this information that I have and create something that's going to be meaningful and connect a lot of people. Or these 2 hours, I'm going to figure out exactly what my next event is going to be, and who the speakers are going to be, and what the topic's going to be, and what workbook I'm going to create for it, and all of that. Like, I
yeah.
know that is not realistically how it happens. And so I try to instead, I know as I'm doing things that I can do very easily and that just give me a lot of peace and joy. Like, I love to cook, for example, and I love cooking without a recipe and just putting a bunch of things together. And it's most of the time when I'm doing things like that a lot of these flashes of inspiration come to me. I was like, oh, that's how I'm going to do it. And
I
so
love
I constantly have to have a notebook right next to me, then otherwise I'm going to forget
it.
it. But I think that's that I don't give myself I don't talk down to myself if
I love
I by forcing myself into this box of you need to figure this out right now.
love
And instead allow myself the freedom of it will come to me when it comes to me. And for right now, sitting in front of a computer is not going to give
that.
me any answers. So I should go do something that I really enjoy doing, and technically my brain's going to be working, subconsciously, and it will all of a sudden be there.
I love it. And I think that is really amazing advice because it is the times that you're really enjoying and you're allowed to be like still. And I guess cooking is that for you. That, and that's why they always say every author, it's funny because if you don't have a piece of paper, you're like writing on your hand, on your body parts. I can't lose this idea. I can't lose it. It's like I can't. I'm desperate to keep it. But you'll find people like grabbing for something because that's a genius idea. Like have your journal next to you. I always tell people before they go to sleep, ask the question that you're looking to get answered, and then when you wake up, the first thought in your mind is the thing that's going to be your answer. So it's like I said, I'm into effortless, Catherine. So like and effortless. And I want to take everyone to this beautiful picture of you as a founder and chief advocate of Let Her Speak. And like I said, everyone, I am encouraging you all to go check out Catherine's site. It really is a incredibly entertaining. I love seeing what all the beautiful highlights of all the women that come up on your site. You do a great job of the entire graphics, so it's definitely entertaining, visually pleasing. And I know that there's so many women out there who have something to say, and I know that you being who you are, will engage the conversation. It's a safe place to be and show up. I do want to go back to the intention portion of the show, and this is what makes my show, magical, manifesting, even more, synchronistic and awesomeness, I like to say. When we set out, you set your intention and you chose a number for the evening and the conversation. What was your intention, if you don't mind sharing? And then what was your number? And then I'll ask you to read from my book the page number that you picked so that you can share with us the insight from the magical guide as to what it is that you put out in the world tonight.
My intention was, number one, to have fun. And I think without realizing it, it was also to be present and not thinking about my, all the other things that I'm working on right now. But also to, open up other aspects of my story and share it with everybody that I haven't really opened up about before.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I guess my number is 319.
Okay. So open the book to 319 and read to us what that is, and share with us the insight that will most likely go with your intention of sharing your story, which beautifully you did that. Thank you so much for honoring me with your vulnerability, and also the presence and all the beautiful, wonderful advice you gave us tonight.
Well, I'm happy to be here and do that. Let's see, it says the power of simplicity. I appreciate simplicity, true beauty that lasts over time, and a little wit and eclecticism that makes life more fun.
There you go. And then if you would read the insight as well.
Oh yeah, the magical key.
Yes. No, actually the whole paragraph. Yeah.
Oh,
you don't mind. You don't mind.
Yeah. The simple life. It is in simplicity that life delivers the most joy. There are simple rules to live by to truly experience the here and now. The present moment is all we have, and love is why we are here. If we do our best, we will never have regrets. Mistakes are just learning opportunities that will prepare us for something amazing, and happiness is not external to us. It is a part of us that we can never deny. Simple, yes. We must not complicate this beautiful world that we live in. If we follow the basics and use our intuition to guide us, then what follows will be just right for each of us. So follow the butterflies as they loop and happily dance in the direction of your dreams. Relinquish the need to control the outcome in life. Synchronicities await you at every turn. Simply go with the flow, laugh at the mistakes, and move forward. When we live like this, we will be greatly rewarded with true beauty that will last a lifetime. At the end of our days, happiness will come from the real gratitude we feel as we appreciate all the blessings we have received. When we keep it simple, blending in a bit of humor and drawing from many different resources, we are sure to have more fun. Keep it simple, sister.
I love it. And it spoke to your presence, and it spoke to your fun, and it spoke to the synchronicity, and it spoke to everything. So, like, we come back full circle every time at the end of our shows. Now, let me ask you something. Do you have, I know that you were talking to me about this next women's initiative that you're launching next week with Let Her Speak. Can you speak to that tonight and advise the audience as to what it is and where they can go to participate?
Yeah. So usually we always had our Let Her Speak events in March for celebrating Women's History Month. But last year, when it was right at the same week that everything shut down for the pandemic, so we moved the summit to October, which you were at. So instead of getting back on track this year, since we're still socially distancing, we decided to instead do something new. So in celebration of Women's History Month, what we're going to have is a open call for women artists, writers. You don't necessarily have to be professional in your writing and artistry, but having women submit their pieces that speak to what Women's History Month means to them and what the tenacity of the female spirit means to them. And throughout the entire month of March, we'll be sharing those images and each woman's words through all of our social channels.
And where can they submit to you, Catherine? Where can they get this information? So let me just be clear. You're looking for people to submit articles around what Women's History Month means to them. Is that right? Or go ahead.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a more of an open call, but so what we're looking for is it will have to have about a 2,000 character limit so that we can keep it within like the amount of characters you have on like Instagram. Since we're going to be sharing them socially, but yeah, for the words, it could be prose or poetry that speaks to either what Women's History Month means to you, or it could be a particular character of an icon or a woman that you've looked up to throughout history, or it could be about the tenacity of what women have gone throughout history to get to where we are now, or it could that you are able to create a digital image of. And it's a way for all of us to see the very different aspects and perspectives of what women in history and what the female spirit really means, and have new perspectives of it.
I love it. That's amazing. I think that would be any of you out there who are feeling curious about your creativity and you want to start, getting possibilities to express that, definitely submit to Catherine. Go ahead and tell us the website that they can submit to you so that they know where to go with it.
Yeah, so if they just go to our website, letherspeakus.com, there'll be a prompt that will come up when submissions are open for, so submissions aren't open yet, but they will be.
Okay.
Next week. And so there'll be a pop-up that comes up that says, if you want to submit, click this button, and it'll take you to the page for it. But we'll also be making announcements when submissions are officially open on our social media. So we have at Let Her Speak on Instagram. We have Let Her Speak on Facebook, and Let Her Speak on LinkedIn.
And I'll go ahead and put everything in the feed so everyone knows it well, but I know people listen on the podcast, they want to hear it. So let her speak, us.com, correct, is the web. Okay. So all of you, I hope that you're going to submit and share your stories and share your inspirations and share your dreams and your hopes and your creativity. And Catherine gets to give you the stage to present these incredible, amazing ideas to the world. So how amazing is that? I want to leave you with the final bit of inspiration. I know you've given us so much to think about tonight. I really am very grateful for everything that you've done, for basically, accepting my invitation to join me on this stage and to be a part of my manifesting and to be part of my circle of women I love, and men, of course. And I want you to leave us with something that we can take into this month of love, this week, heading into, our dreams and with rediscovering a sense of awe and wonder?
Oh gosh, I would say, I mean, the number one thing is to know that you are the hero of your own story. You are the leading woman of your own story. And if you look around and realize that you are taking a supporting role of your own life, then, you know, are there people in there that are supporting you and being a supporting role?
Mhm.
And if there are, there's me and a lot of other women out there that want to help you see that you have an important story to tell, and we would love to help you tell it.
Awesome. So there you go, you guys. So if you're itching for the opportunity to tell your story, contact Catherine, contact Let Her Speak. The forum is amazing. And, see what you're made of and become or acknowledging, aware that you are the hero of your story. And as we all go out in the world, thank you once again, Catherine, for this awesome hour of magic and inspiration, to understand that it's time to manifest those dreams. I want to send out an intention of love this month of February, and that if we need love, I'm throwing it to you. And if you want to give love, people are out there desperate for it. So let's remember, to include as many people we can in this absolute exuberance that we can actually start spreading around. So spread the love, give love. Thank you, Catherine, once again. And thank you all until next time in February. Manifest the most amazing life of your dreams. Good night, everybody.